So you're going to have a very interesting panel discussion, guys. Hello, can we have attention? Buddies, I'm looking at you. So we'll give little time for you guys to get it, settle it down. Morning, there was a panelist talking about data, and data. Social listening, big data. How to convert data into a meaningful interpretation. How do we read data? No more marketing is top bottom. I decide what you deserve. No, you have to present what they deserve, what the customers deserve. Bottom up, correct? So that's what is going to be the next. I'll take a little time. If it is ready, guys, you give a thumbs up so that. Yes, madam. Are we done? Okay, the panel discussion is about AI as a revenue multiplier. Of course, we agree. From data to decisive action, how data helps in the AI era to take decisions smartly. To have this panel discussion, we have a bunch of panelists from the industry. I invite the moderator, Mr. Swapnil. Can we give a round of applause? Founder and CEO, Make My Hype. Can I invite, please forgive me if my pronunciation goes a little haywire. Mithil. Can we give a round of applause to Mithil, founder? Sir, can you pronounce the name of the company? You can say Alchemy Network. Alchemy Network. He is the founder of Alchemy Network. Mr. Vikram Gaikwad, founder, CEO, Squeakers Infotech. Guys, give a round of applause. Mr. Mangush Borka, Head of Engineering, Red Drop. Shamal Vaidya, Managing Director, Simulcast IT Solutions Private Limited. And Sri Karve, Chief of Growth Solutions, Triumph Ventures. Karthik Chandrakant, Senior Vice President, Head of Data Science and AI. Over to Swapnil and company.
Thank you so much, sir, for introducing ourselves. Let me introduce myself and let me set the context of this panel discussion. My name is Swapnil Puranik and I'm running two verticals, one in EdTech sector and one is in branding and marketing. So I have total experience of 22 years in marketing. So the topic of today's panel discussion is AI is a revenue multiplier from data to decisive action. And for me, so this is not an academic question. This is a very practical question that me face in day-to-day life. And I'm sure that all the people here on this dais, they are facing the same question. And every businessman in India or across the globe, they are facing same questions. AI as a revenue multiplier from data to decisive action. So let me start with two numbers. $350 billion. That is what the world invested in AI last year in 2025. $350 billion. And in coming years, world is going to invest more and more in AI. But the reality is only 10% companies or 10% of organizations reporting significant measurable ROI from that investment. So today in this discussion, we will be discussing the whole gambit of these things like AI as a revenue multiplier. So we will be checking the reality of this topic. Is AI really a revenue multiplier? And what is the fact? Then there is data, the problem with data. There are so many aspects around data, like data inconsistency, data cleaning, data protection, data privacy. And in last, there is a problem with decision making. So we say that AI has made things faster, but many a times we can see there is a problem with decision making. What we can say is analysis paralysis. So let's start with all these uh, vibrant entrepreneurs and leaders in the industry today. So let me ask the first question to Mr. Vikram Gaikwad, founder and CEO of Sequus Infotech. Vikram, you have seen AI investment decisions both from the builder side and the boardroom side. In your honest assessment, is AI actually a revenue multiplier or it is just a glorified automation?
That's really a good question, I would say, the way you framed it. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. So this is a question that comes up at several instances. AI is definitely contributing, but not the way the organizations are expecting it. I would say early days when it started, it was taken in the sense of automation only. Okay, the mundane tasks, how they have been automated. A lot of people started using AI for that. A lot of support related stuff, AI has been used in the initial durations. So the way it started, what not was not actually in the sense of revenue multiplier. Okay, because I would say that majority of the investments of AI happens in the automation, which was relating towards the productivity of the organizations. Okay, when I say the real usage of AI from a revenue multiplication standpoint is like 2/3 of the revenue for any organization come from the existing customers. Okay. If we neglect existing customers and leveraging AI for that, then we are making a big mistake. So in that context, I would say that if you use AI to handle your existing customers' revenues and how to multiply them with upsell, cross-sell, and maybe retaining the existing customers, then you are winning that particular game. So instead of investing, majority of the investment in any organizations are happening in either in the productivity side or in the sales revenue generation side, but not in the customer success side.
Okay.
So if that happens, I would say that that's a winning combination, especially in the context of revenue multiplication.
Okay, that was nice. And my next question will be to Mr. Karthik Chandrakant, VP Head of Data Science and AI. When we are talking about ROI, we are talking about the companies who are investing heavily in AI infrastructure. So can you share an instance where AI has been a revenue multiplier in your organization?
Yeah. Firstly, thank you so much for having me here. I know it's second session after lunch, but I'll try to keep it very, very short as well. So I think to answer that question, I'll add to more of what you said, right? Which is today, companies are using AI from of course, a revenue multiplier is I would say the one way to look at it, or the username, I would say. But the password could also be, like he said, right? Cost optimization or headcount reduction or operations efficiency. They're different instances. I'll give you two instances through which, I've been an AI practitioner for the last 13, 14 years, and I've seen this from close quarters. I'll give you two instances very quickly. One, I spent about half a decade with Amazon, and how many of you here have seen Amazon prices change quickly, dynamically? Raise of hands. Okay. The team behind that was led by me, building machine learning models, and any prices that was wrong had to be caught. Okay. And Amazon had thousands of people looking for a bad prices, right? And people would literally sit and map price A on Flipkart is $20. Price the same product on Amazon is $22, right? That's a price mismatch. So there were thousands of people deployed by Amazon to sit manually, look at 600 to 700 odd on a daily basis and do that. And we would call this as an operations floor, right? Now, the team behind the scenes would build a machine learning model, which would, in a particular day, if they were supposed to look at 25,000 odd by a particular team, this building AI, we were only supposed to, bring it down to, you didn't have to look at 25,000 odd. You just had to look at the top 2,500 only. So AI eliminated the 90% and told this doesn't have an error. The top 10%, which AI was a little confused, or in those days, we never used the word of hallucination, but the accuracy was lower. So there people were deployed, which meant 90% of human force was not needed. Perhaps they were not removed from the job. They were allowed to do complex tasks, but we removed people from a particular thing, right? And that translates into thousands of dollars. So that's not direct revenue as such, but that's cost savings, or that's operational floor efficiency, right? That's one. The second thing, I currently lead a large practice in Imarticus, which is an edtech company. We're in the business of upskilling. Today, we try and help learners get better and get them into an employability setup, right? In order to do that, we need to go the extra mile of teaching, the extra mile of doing mock interviews. And we operate in a space where thousands of learners are being taught today. They need to do a one-on-one mock, and this comes at a cost. So we built an AI-based solution, which is an AI-based mock interviewer. And you'll be surprised to hear the cost that was incurred is reduced by 98% through AI, right? Now, this, if I were to do math, the profitability of spending that is in crores. Every year, we are saving a few crores because of this, right? So this is how I would look at it in terms of, it's not necessarily direct revenue generation. Of course, there are companies today using that where I don't know how many of you have heard, like for example, Cars 24 or even Misho. They don't no longer deploy humans to do that. It's AI agents, right? Which comes at dirt cheap cost. So this is the way it's moving, and not necessarily direct multiplier, but indirect revenue savings or cost savings, efficiency, like you mentioned, operational efficiency. There's so many use cases like this through which money is going back to the company and hence becoming more profitable.
So it was a great insight that it is not direct connection, like it will contribute to a revenue multiplier, but even if it saves cost, it is also a big deal. So my next question is for Mangesh Borkar, Head of Engineering at Red Drop. So you did something different that most of the engineering teams are not able to do. So you have achieved a revenue figure in your organization. So just walk us through that process. How did you achieve that revenue multiplier in your organization?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. I work with Red Drop as the head of engineering. So the primary platform that we were building was a sales prospecting platform for B2B. So if you go and see Red Drop B2B platform, what you will notice is a complex set of filters on the left-hand side by which you can search for anybody who is available on LinkedIn, right? So it's like a LinkedIn, but with additional features where you can also find out the phone number and email ID of a person, and you can directly get in touch with that person, right? So this is what the core functionality is of the platform. Now with AI, the thing we used AI for is basically a person doesn't have to go and fill out all the filters. So if I want to search somebody in Pune who is heading an AI company, I need to choose Pune and I need to say AI and I need to say what is the designation and blah, 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 so many types of filters. So now what we did was using AI, a person can just type what he needs. So I can say, find me AI decision makers in Pune, and the AI does everything behind the hood. All the heavy lifting is done by the AI tools that we have. And it's a complex set of context engineering, which is built behind the hood. So what happens due to this? It is basically, as I think Vikram mentioned, it is all about the customer, right? So the kind of premium customers we wanted to target were the ones who loved this functionality. So, if you go and check a lot of these platforms like Juicebox, Lucia, right? A lot of them have these features. So Red Drop was building this to match these competitors that we have. So this is one of the things how AI helped us, to build the ARR for the company. But the most important thing which I want to say here, it's not just the AI model or the fine tuning of your AI models or fine tuning your AI ecosystem, right? The most important thing that I have noticed is, how good your engineering systems are, how good your infrastructure is. Because if you don't have this in place, your AI has no value. If your infra teams are doing firefighting every day to keep the systems alive, nobody will love to use your AI features. So it's the fundamentals which always work in your favor. So the uptime of the system, the latency metrics, how good or consistent your system is, how good the throughput is, all these systems work in conjunction with AI. So when I see these questions regarding AI, I think the associated systems are equally important than the actual AI models or the context engineering that you build for the AI tools in your system. So I think that answers your question, Swapnil.
And thank you, Mangesh, for pointing out most important aspect in business and sales. Understanding customers' requirements is most important. So maybe you are having great engineering teams and great infrastructure. If you don't understand, so that's a nice input for all of us. My next question will be to Mithil Dave, the founder of the Alchemy Network. Mithil, AI promised all of us to multiply revenue by reducing human effort. But has it also created more roles, more complexity, and more cost than anyone anticipated? Means taking cue from the answers of both these people. So they are talking about cost cutting, but sometimes it is observed that cost escalation is also there because of AI. So is AI the actual revenue multiplier, or it is quietly also a cost multiplier?
In my case, what I have experienced is that AI can definitely be a revenue multiplier, but only if it helps businesses to take better decisions, not merely focusing on productivity. Because nowadays, a lot of companies are with AI, they are creating a lot of more content, dashboards, and reports. So does it mean that more output equals to more revenue? Right? Let me give you an example here. I met a founder who was creating ads for a particular SaaS model, and he, by using AI, created 1,000 ads. But when it ran, was not able to generate any leads. Why? Because they were not able to understand, the AI and themselves were not able to understand that this SaaS was connecting to which target audience. So they were not understanding the target audience. And that's where, if AI is able to help these businesses get better target audience, their patterns, their behaviors, that's when it helps in creating revenue. And that's where it becomes more profit multiplier. So please remember that AI is not a revenue multiplier. Better decisions are.
Right, rightly said. That you are saying that context is also very important.
Absolutely.
If you are right at the context that you are providing, then it will give you better outputs. My next question will be to Shamal Vaidya, Managing Director of Simulcast IT Solutions. Shamal, India has over 63 million MSMEs. So students may be aware that MSMEs are backbone of our Indian economy. So my question will be, AI actually within the reach of this MSME, or it is only the reach of the large corporations or MNCs?
Yes, thank you so much, Swapnil. It's a good question because so many students are there. Maybe after some time they are a business or they are entrepreneurs actually. So MSME is most important for our economy actually. But do you think AI के बारे में कहाँ बातें होती है? AI के बारे में मोस्ट ऑफ द जो भी बातें होती है वो सारी बड़ी बड़ी ऑफिसेस में होती है. कभी ये सोचा है हम लोगों ने कि ये सारी जो बातें कोई शॉप में हो रही है, छोटी मोटी शॉप्स में इसके बारे में डिस्कशंस होते हैं. सो AI यही तक सीमित है, जो बड़े बड़े इंडस्ट्रीज है, जो बड़ी बड़ी कंपनीज है, वही तक सीमित है. सो आई थॉट कि AI डायरेक्टली हम लोग ये सब बोल तो नहीं सकते कि डायरेक्टली AI को हम लोग कोई भी कंपनी के जंप टू द AI डायरेक्टली. So which is not possible right now actually. They have to go step by step. So nowadays, some company are actually going from manual process to the digital process in a simple way. There is some game-changing thought process in that. So many people are working on a CRM. So many people are using chatbots. So many people are using ERP. So जो भी एआई के बेनिफिट्स है वो वहां से वो लोग ले रहे हैं, उसके बारे में सोच रहे। सो अगर एमएसएमई में जो भी छोटे एंटरप्रेन्योर्स है या फिर स्मॉल इंडस्ट्रीज है, if they want to adopt the AI in better way in the businesses, so AI ये deploy करने में easy है, it's not a big deal. Digitalization is more important for apart for the AI actually. So AI के बारे में हम जब भी काम करते हैं, AI अगर deploy करना चाहते हैं, so we have to think the process, we have to think localize. जैसे कि हम लोग डेली रूटीन में मोबाइल यूज करते हैं, इसी तरीके से अगर हम लोग ने एआई अडॉप्ट कर लिया, तो आई डोंट थिंक सो कि एमएसएमई कंपनीज जो ऑलरेडी हमारा बैकबोन है इकोनॉमी के लिए, इफ दे यूज एआई, सो मुझे लगता है कि इकोनॉमी कंप्लीटली चलाने के लिए एमएसएमई विल सक्सेसफुल फॉर दिस।
राइट, बहुत अच्छा पॉइंट आपने रेज किया कि धीरे धीरे अभी एमएसएमईज डिजिटलाइजेशन की ओर जा रहे हैं, दे आर अडॉप्टिंग डिजिटलाइजेशन। एंड अगेन देयर इज अ गुड थिंग अबाउट एआई कि इट इज मोर डेमोक्रेटिक, so it is easier for MSMEs to adopt AI and make it happen in their day-to-day business. My next question will be to Shri Karve, the tele ICU practitioner and a critical care innovator. So you operate in a domain where revenue models are complex, margins are tight, and the cost of failure is a human life. So yet you have developed an AI model at scale in the critical healthcare sector. So how did you make it possible, and what are the lessons for other industries?
Okay. Hi. Thanks for this wonderful question, and thanks for having me. A little bit context on what we do. So we are a healthcare technology company, and about 8 years ago, we started installing what looks like CCTV cameras inside hospitals. The goal there was, and probably a lot of you might be familiar with this scenario. So if you travel 15-20 kilometers away from a city, the hospitals there, the quality of healthcare suddenly drops, not because the motivation is not there. Probably, great doctors don't want to work in the remote areas, or maybe the nurses out there don't have those sort of skill levels. So we wanted to bring healthcare in, various remote parts of India up to the mark. That's why we installed, like more than 500 hospitals currently have our so-called, CCTV cameras, from where a team of about 100 doctors and nurses sitting in Bangalore are remotely monitoring these patients, and timely care can be communicated to the bedside team. This is basically our model. There is no AI so far in picture. This was just cameras. And then we realized that we are sitting on a massive gold mine of data where, real live bedside footage is available. And that's where we spent about past 3 years training our model to see if the model can not replace, I would say, but at least try to augment the abilities of doctors and nurses who are serving by the bedside. Now, in terms of coming to revenue, we had not expected, but hospitals started adopting our AI. They knew our AI wasn't perfect, but they were ready to pay for that because we were able to solve a real problem. At night, when maybe, doctors, nurses can be a little bit drowsy, maybe when doctors, nurses are on leave, the person who is there on duty is overloaded, which happens, more often than one would imagine. That's where our AI was able to provide them insights. One real example, say for example, neonatal, like, small babies, really tiny, this size babies, when they have some health issues, they are placed in what we call like a, neonatal ICU case, like, and only after several minutes of enduring pain, that's when the baby starts crying out, and that's when the nurse comes in and steps in. Whereas the camera is continuously monitoring the patient, and several minutes before a nurse would even notice, the camera notices signs that the baby is in pain. So this is really solving a problem for the hospital in terms of elevating the quality of care. Now, once the quality of care is improved, then the chances of the patient getting discharged and complications not happening, hospital acquired infections not happening, all of this gets, those are some of the benefits. So the patient gets discharged more. Now I'm coming to the business side. If the patient gets discharged, you can admit more patients. More the patients, more the revenue. So that's how our AI is able to add to the revenue side of hospitals.
Thank you so much, Shri. So we have concluded the first round of discussion, and let me summarize what we have discussed till now. So our question was AI as a revenue multiplier. So we examined that statement. Is it reality? क्या सच में AI revenue को multiply कर सकता है? So after listening to all these experts, so these are the living examples in front of you that they have made it reality. They have converted AI investment into a sizable amount of ROI. So it is there. But AI कोई जादू की छड़ी नहीं है कि आप उसको घुमा दो और उसमें आपका रेवेन्यू आना शुरू हो जाएगा. So be it infrastructure, strong infrastructure, strong engineering teams, and most importantly, identifying the need of the customer. That is most important. If you follow these basic principles, AI will definitely help organizations scale. So coming to next round of our questions, and now we will talk about data. So we are heading towards data to decisive action. So to make AI possible or to make AI do something meaningful, we need data. And there are so many problems related to data. So we will be dealing around those problems. We will understand what are the problems and what are the solutions for them. So my first question will be for Shamal. Shamal, in day-to-day life, we use AI, and there is a popular saying that garbage in, garbage out. So that whatever you feed to AI, it will give you the results. So for most of the Indian MSMEs, that the data lives in WhatsApp messages and scattered Excel sheets. So data with MSME today is very scattered and random. So how should a business deal with data inconsistency before AI can do something meaningful?
Yes, thank you so much. It's very nice question actually. Garbage in and garbage out. That sentence is more related to AI actually. Recently अभी हमारे पैनल डिस्कशन से पहले एक सर आए थे, उन्होंने एक प्रेजेंटेशन दिया था और वहाँ पे एक लाइन उन्होंने लिखी थी कि AI which is designed by engineer and used by doctors. सो एक्चुअली एआई अगर हम लोग देख पाए तो एआई को खुद से तो बिल्ड होता नहीं है. एआई लर्न फ्रॉम आवर एंड. जो भी डिज़ाइन करते हैं वो हम लोग डिज़ाइन करते हैं. सो एआई कुछ अलग सी बात है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. सो एआई को यूज़ करना सीखो, और एआई को अगर यूज़ करना है तो फर्स्ट पार्ट एआई इज़ नॉट चैलेंजिंग. एक्चुअली फर्स्ट पार्ट चैलेंज हमारे पास तो सबसे पहले तो ये है कि डेटा, बिकॉज आई एम अ टेक्निकल पर्सन. आई एम मोस्टली डेटा में मैं काम करती हूँ, ईआरपी प्रोवाइड करती हूँ. सो सबसे बड़ी दिक्कत यह है कि डेटा डिसिप्लिन नहीं है, डेटा सेट नहीं है. सो फर्स्ट स्टेप फॉर द बिजनेस, टू द एंटरप्रेन्योर्स, इवन फॉर द ईच एंड एवरी स्टूडेंट ऑल्सो, हमारा पूरा डेटा व्हाट्सएप में रहता है, मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम एक्सेल शीट्स में रहता है, मैसेजेस शेयर करके रखते, और या तो फिर बहुत लोगों को डायरीज यूज करने की आदत होती है. सो जस्ट मेक योर डेटा फर्स्ट इन द सेंट्रलाइज वे. Like you can use tools for that, like a CRM, like account software. So many things are there. So first step is you just centralize your data. So digitalization is the first step. Second step, organize. So why organize? Because हम लोग बिलिंग प्रोसेस करते हैं, हम लोग बताते हैं कि हमारे ये वेंडर्स है, सर्विस प्रोवाइडर्स है, बिल्स है, इनवॉइसेस है. उसका एक सिस्टम होना चाहिए जो प्रॉपर तरीके से सेट होना चाहिए. और वो सेम प्रोसेस अगर हम लोग हमेशा, जैसे कि मैं खुद कर रही हूँ तो मैं मेरी एम्प्लॉय को भी बोल दूंगी दिस इज द प्रोसेस एक्चुअली, यू जस्ट राइट इन दैट वे. सो that thing is more important. And third, which is the last, optimize. So first step, digitalize. Second, organize. And third step, optimize. So optimization with AI. So which is most important part कि AI जो भी हम लोग use करना चाहते हैं, so in a better way use करिए. AI just हमारे business को shape नहीं देता है, so AI हम लोग को discipline भी सिखाता है. So this is the answer for you.
Thank you so much for raising one most important aspect, data discipline. So my next question will be for Vikram. So you are into customer success, and in customer success, data arrives from dozens of disconnected sources like CRM, product usage, support tickets, billing details, and NPS. So when you were building Sequus, how did you solve the data readiness problem or data discipline problem? And what is the learning that every business should take from that?
Yeah, I think again, adding to Shamal, she highlighted it rightly that the data is quite fragmented. Before that, I'll just give a context. Like this is my third startup to got acquired earlier. One of that startup was a completely AI-driven startup, which I ran for 2 years, and then we got acquired. This is the third one, which is Cycus Infotech. We have just turned 5 years. What we are building is Cycus AMS, which is an account management solution, which is a customer success platform, which is end-to-end AI-powered, probably one of its kind in the world. So when you ask like how exactly we got the challenges, like when we started building the Cycus AMS application, which is a customer success platform, what does it mean is you handle the prospecting activities till the deal is getting closed in the CRMs. Post CRM, it has been completely fragmented. For the students over here, when the customer gets converted as a sales process, it gets converted. From then, it has been completely neglected. When I say neglected, in a unified way. So if a CEO wants to ask his team, like, what is the health of this particular customer? And people will start opening up multiple applications and multiple tabs. It is not a vague thing to say that one particular organization might use more than 20 applications, 20 disoriented or disaligned systems to manage one particular customer. So when we started building the customer success application, the Cycus AMS application, we got the first major problem is how to showcase one view, one unified view of a customer, saying like, this is your customer and this is the health of your customer and this is the journey of your customer. That becomes very challenging because it has been isolated. The history of the customer onboarding, pre-onboarding sat in CRMs. The account activities used to handled by customer support applications, with ticketing applications, or maybe many more applications where engagement is happening with the customer, the training is happening, the retention is happening with the customer. So this has been isolated in 20 odd or more than 20 plus applications. So what we wanted to build is a unified view, which we call as a customer 360 plus view, which showcases the past activities of the customer, the present activities of the customer, and with AI, also how exactly this will be forecasted. So forecasting becomes very critical. As she rightly said, and the question was also there, the previous question is like garbage in, garbage out. If enough data is not there, you cannot predict the future activities. So exactly in the similar sense, when we were building Cycus AMS, we first solve the problem of defragmented data. So we have more than 10 plus departments can be catered with one application. So be it ticketing, be it invoicing, be it the customer engagement, be it customer success, be it training, learning, or any other touch points with the existing customer has to be solved by one application. And then you say that, yes, there is a unified view of the data, which is the customer, which is happening at one premise. So when we were building, that was a major challenge, bringing all those customer data points into one application. And that's how Cycus AMS evolved over period. When we say that it's a end-to-end, that means like you are not supposed to use 10 or 20 odd applications. This is the one central application. The customer closed by sales team, you have to use only one application, and then it makes sense. So how we leverage AI over there is the fragmented data comes at one premise, and then a lot of I'll give a small example. I mean, I asked this to a lot of vice president also, and maybe food for thought here as well. Like we asked one of the CEOs, like, can you say, let's say you are handling 100 odd accounts, 100 customers you have. Can you say that out of these 100 accounts, how much additional revenue that you can generate in next 1 year? Pin drop silence, because the eccentricity of data wasn't there. The prediction is far away. So we've built one white spacing kind of application based on AI, which has different layers. I mean, typically 4 layers. One layer says how this customer's industry is behaving. That is one layer. Okay. Second layer says how this organization is behaving in the industry. Okay. Third layer says how this customer is using our services or products, the consumption or the usage metrics. And then the fourth says what all services that we provide and this customer has not adopted so far. So these four layers decides what is the additional scope of business that we can do with this customer. So now when a CEO comes up and says, okay, what is the additional revenue that we can generate? 100 crores. Okay, which are the accounts which are giving me 100 crores? 1, 2, 3, 4 accounts. Who are the people who are managing this 20 accounts? These are the 1, 2, 3, 4 people. And what is this happening? So that's when it becomes very interesting, and that's what we are solving at Cycus, centralization of data, unified view of the customer, and then a lot of predictions based on this behavior of a lot of other patterns as well. Thank you.
So that's a very important point raised by Vikram. Most of the times business में ये होता है कि कस्टमर को सिर्फ कन्वर्जन तक भाव दिया जाता है, and after conversion customer is the most neglected person. So it is very important. And one of the input I got from one of speeches I attended before, so he said कि आपका पहला कस्टमर अभी क्या कर रहा है, 3 साल पुराना कस्टमर, 10 साल पुराना कस्टमर आज क्या कर रहा है, ये आपको पता होना चाहिए. And that's the granularity and that gives you advantage in business. So you said that who are giving you 100 crore additional revenue. So knowing that is very important in today's business world. So my next question will be for Mangesh. So we have been talking about data discipline and how data should be maintained and collected. So beyond technical work, I would like to ask, what is the organizational and cultural shift it is required to get a company's data into a state where AI can do something meaningful?
Yeah, Swapnil, I think that's a very important question. And I've seen this firsthand, in some of the orgs that I've worked, both small and large, So I think data democratization is a very, very important term, which I would like to emphasize here. So what happens in a classic scenario, in a large organization, you have multiple departments spread across multiple countries, right? And there's a little bit of a politics, as we know, when things are at scale and, when you have so many people involved, there's always this silos which are created in an organization. So I think the first thing that I found practically, from my knowledge is how do we break these silos, So any organization, if they have to succeed, and this is a research done by, one of the top 3 consulting groups called BCG, Boston Consulting Groups. So what they found is, the organizations that have succeeded in using AI for a positive ARR, have invested 70% of their budget in only cultural transformation. So that kind of, makes me think, that the first thing that we have to do is having the data democratization and also breaking the silos inside an organization. So if you have to have a common data strategy, then first and foremost, you need a culture where, every data has accountability. And in terms of accountability, I mean to say not just who owns that data, but also who owns the quality of that data, right? Because you would have multiple teams who are ingesting data. There would be multiple teams who are modifying that data. So if you don't have a very, very specific data strategy, right, you won't be succeeding with your endeavors. So I think that's the first thing. The second thing that I came across in my knowledge or in my experience is you also have data that cannot be exposed or that you cannot feed to a LLM model, right? So there are both PII related issues and there are also legal constraints where you cannot train your model on that data. So I think for such cases, you need to think out of the box, right? So what we did over here was, try to leverage the synthetic data generation. So we created a model which would only create synthetic data sets based on the existing data we have. So it needed a little bit of a capital investment, but that was a data strategy which worked for us, and I think it worked. It has worked for a lot of organizations. So I think these 2 points which I would like to mention. The first thing is, treat your data as a major product. Don't treat it as a byproduct, because everything else is secondary if your data is not up to the mark. And secondly, break the silos. Create a culture in an organization where your data is democratized, it is having clear ownership, and it is shared across the organizations.
That was a nice point. My next question will be to Karthik. So you have worked with companies like Amazon, so which are most famous and most talked about their organizational culture. So when it comes to organizational culture, what kind of culture should be deployed by an organization which is willing to adopt AI, or also a company which is AI first company? So what kind of culture they should have?
I think from a culture point of view, it's purely, I mean, different companies come with their own culture, right? I'm sure everybody would agree. What drives culture is very important, which is organizations have something called as leadership principles. They all go by their principles, right? And large companies like Amazon had a very important principle called customer centric, right? Anything and everything that we do, we will do it keeping the customer in the center. Now, from a data point of view and from a culture point of view, I think it's organization will try and drive, but that's one side of the story, right? The other side of the story is what should an individual do, and that is where concepts like or terminologies like experimentation, right, as a culture is very important. What happens when you experiment? You either learn, you succeed, or you fail, but you still learn, right? So experimentation as a culture is very, very important. The second thing is this concept of learning over knowing, which is in this world of evolution, there is so much to learn. Every day there's a new model that's coming out. So we need to continuously learn, right? Upgrading through experimentation, through learning. And that's the new IP, which is you need to learn. And that should be a mindset and a culture. The third thing, these two, I would say from an individual point of view. From an organizational point of view, I think it needs to go really, really top down, right? If it doesn't get pushed from a leadership point of view, nobody will do it. At Ematicus, we've invested heavily in terms of upskilling our people. And how do you do that? We've done two things. One, we've put a small weightage in the KRA of an employee to upskill themselves on their own, and that's a row item in your performance, right? If you don't do it, then you're appraised accordingly. The second thing is we need to create a culture of encouraging participation. We recently did at Ematicus an event called AI Accelerate, where we brought a lot of topics to solve in-house problems, and the winner got a bunch of goodies, blah, 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 right? So this mindset of culture of solving problems should come top down. And when leadership takes it up head on, I think you can really, not enforce, but empower, I would say, right? So that's my take.
So that was nice input. My next question will be for Shri. We all know that in US and Europe, there are very stringent data protection laws and data privacy laws. And India is still finding its ground with respect to the DPDP Act, the Digital Personal Data Protection Act. So as someone deploying AI in critical healthcare sector across the environments, where does India actually stand? And what are the opportunities and challenges for Indian businesses?
So clearly data protection, more and more people are now talking about it in India. The government is also stepping up to ensure data privacy. As far as my industry is concerned, we are still much behind. The industry is much behind, like I would say, global standards. In the US, data protection, as far as, in the healthcare industry, The earliest I read about that was in 1998. Some of you may not have been even born, but that's how seriously they have been taking data privacy in healthcare. So is in Europe. Europe healthcare is still, I would say, largely regulated by the government. So maybe implementing data protection and all of that was maybe a little bit easier. One advantage that we had as a company, or all of us here come from sort of tech backgrounds. IT, by the nature of the industry itself, is very global. So we naturally tend to benchmark ourselves in every aspect of business to global standards. So if there's an engineer, talking about architecture, it will be at some international benchmark. So naturally, as far as data protection was concerned, data privacy was concerned, there was no question in our minds that we have to be cognizant that this data partially belongs to somebody else, right? So anonymizing that data and using anonymized data to train our models was always there, like one of the main pillars for us, and that has helped us really well. So we are now also, just because of that strategy, US healthcare organizations are like literally pulling. We are not actively marketing ourselves there, but they are literally inviting us. The reason, in the US, you're not able to use patients' data, especially video data, all of that, to train their models. So some of our biggest competitors are, Amazon Health and Microsoft, Google, all of them are in healthcare, but even they are not able to train their models on data, which we are able to do that here. So in a way, it has been a bit of a blessing for us that the data protection laws were a bit on the softer side. Having said that, as industry, we have to take care because it's going to backfire on us if we start misusing patients' data. I hope I answered your question.
And that's the ethical role that we need to adopt in. So my next question will be for Mithil. So Mithil, you coach the founders and entrepreneurs in content creation.
Yep.
And because of this AI, we have all kind of engagement data, analytics, and algorithm signals of our content. I want to ask you a different question here. So are creators still making content for their audience today, or they have quietly started making content for algorithms? And is human creativity dying in the process?
It's actually a very grave situation, and that is actually affecting the creator economy. Algorithm rewards visibility, but people rewards trust. I'll give you an example here. Many of the students who are sitting in this room right now, they are on their Instagram right now. So when they are scrolling, the creator is getting the views, but these students are not connecting with those people. So in the end, even if the influencers or big creators are creating content, they are only doing it for views. So the algorithm always gives the views. But when it comes to creators who are playing a long game, they actually create content keeping in mind their target audience. And that's the reason why I hope every one of you will be having couple of creators who you resonate with. And now when the creators who are using this data and analytics and using AI to get the insights, they're able to create exactly the content which the audience feel, "Arey, ye to mere liye hai." This person is able to read my mind. This is exactly the pain point I am going through. And not, of course, even Instagram listens to our audios. If you think of any recipe, ma'am, so like, immediately wo reel pe aana start ho jata hai. But again, those are datas, those are touch points. So what over here important is that how do you train AI to get this data and then connect to the real audience? Because algorithm definitely will support you, but it is the humans who are going to pay you. So all of you who are sitting here in the next 3 to 4 years, you are going to be there using this AI to do this. So you need to understand while sitting in this conference that yes, this data points or any discussion that we are doing, how crucial it is for you. But again, if you do a small experiment here and get all the data points of the people, how many of you are paying attention, Or how many of you are using note takers right now to record everything and then creating a summary out of it? Or you are just sitting, we'll get that data, and then the university can do a lot of things in order to ensure that how can we engage you better, serve you better, and serve the industry at large better. So that's where the importance of data points are crucial.
And that's very interesting take by Mithil. And why I asked this question, because last few years there was a fad. Instagram पे फलाना trending music पे video बना दो तो it will go viral. So there were some algorithms that really made people viral. But to make some meaningful business out of it, we must study and analyze the data, as Mithil say, to understand the viewer's point of view and take decisions accordingly. So we will be entering to our third round of discussion. And again, the most important thing is the decision-making aspect of AI. So my first question will be for Shri only. So tele ICU and healthcare sector, critical healthcare sector is very crucial. So where a wrong decision is a cost of life. So as we know that AI is now assisting those decisions in real time.
Yeah.
So honestly tell me, who is actually making the call today, or who is actually making decision, the clinician or the algorithm?
Right.
So I would like the answer in a general manner across the industry.
Yeah. You said you want a general answer, but let me start being specific to my industry. I think our technology, we are not trying to replace doctors or nurses. We don't even want to do that. And I think generally as a society, it doesn't seem very ethical that, we are trying to replace doctors. So let's not even try to do that. Every time we speak with a hospital who want to, use our AI, one of the things that we explain to them, we give them this analogy. You're driving on the road, there are traffic lights. The traffic light is telling you what to do, but it is the driver who has to stop the car or slow down the car or accelerate, whatever. So similarly, our AI, although we say that it's very mature, it will give you all the insights, it will be much more faster and all of that, probably much more efficient. The action has to be taken by the doctor and the nurses. We are here to augment your abilities somewhere where things, like you are possibly falling short. That is where AI is there, but the action has to be taken by the doctors and the nurses. So I hope that answers.
So that's very important and ethical answer that we must respect. So why I ask this question? Because we are slowly moving towards autonomous decision making. And my next question will be for Mangesh only. That we also know that we are fast moving towards autonomous decision making. So where AI does all the decision making, and AI doesn't only recommend, it decides on our behalf and takes action. So as someone building these systems, how far we are from that reality today, and should we even get in that direction? So should we accept autonomous decision making by AI?
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, yes and no at the same time. So, AI is moving so fast that previously we used to think it's going to take like 1 year to reach here, but I see like people are building those products in weeks. Anything that I feel maybe it'll take 1 more year. I see a company doing it in just next week. So it's moving very fast. So regarding the autonomous decisions, definitely in a bounded context. It does work very well today, and I think everyone is doing that. But when there are things which are very, very large in stake, where, as Sir said, somebody's life is at stake, right? You cannot have the AI do the decision making there. So AI would augment the human being. So it would basically give all the data points that the surgeon or the doctor needs to factor in before taking the right call. So your AI will basically cut short the journey, to a large extent, but you need to have the human in the loop to do the final decision making. So I think this is one of the rail guards which a lot of organizations are building today, which is called as human in the loop, where they are able to detect what decisions the AI model shouldn't take, and these are routed to the humans, and then the humans basically augment the decision making and they take the final call. So I think in a bounded context, definitely AI is almost there. But in an unbounded context where the stakes are high, I would advise, we should have a human in the loop kind of a functionality, right? Which does the final decision making.
Right. So that's very important aspect we should keep in mind. So my next question will be for Vikram. So Vikram, I will be requiring some fast or quick response because we are running short of time. So there are two types of businesses today. One is adopting AI as a reactive intelligence. So where they fix problem after the problem appears. And second is AI proactive intelligence. So detecting the problems and preventing them. So throughout the world, what kind of intelligence is being used mostly today? And if people are using reactive intelligence, how should they shift to the proactive intelligence?
Yeah, so quickly, I would say, like, based on our research and to the context of our industry, I would say that 60% of the companies so far are into the reactive mode. When the problem arises, they act on that, they jump on that. There are a lot of permutation combination gets done when the collection of the problem has been collected in the organization. This is probably the old approach, but the new one, everyone is moving towards. The rest of the 40% who are the cream organizations are moving towards the proactive approach. What does that mean is, see, a customer doesn't wake up one day and say that I don't want to stay with this service provider, I just want to move out. Okay, this doesn't happen overnight. This happens over a period of time, and those are a lot of signals which the customer gives you. If you don't read those signals, not necessarily every time the customer should complain and then only leave you, right? The customer leaves in silent as well. Those silent signals has to be, I mean, they are very visible. If that has been captured rightly with AI, then as the panel already said that it gives you a lot of insights, but the decision is up to you whether you have to act on that or not at the right time. So being proactive always means like the insights are available with you. There are a lot of silent signals the customer gives on a regular basis. You are acting on that and becoming proactive. So I would say that firefighting versus forcing, that's the actual way over here. So firefighting will always kill the revenue which is existingly with you. Forget about the additional revenue which is coming from the customer. So you have to be little assertive in terms of understanding the silent signals, and that's actually the proactive approach, which 40% of the organizations are still using. 60% still goes on the preventive approach towards those all signals over there. That's what my take is.
So it is a case by case decision we need to take. My next question will be for Karthik. So please enlighten us about how risky or how it is to put everything in AI's control, and will AI replace humans one day in decision making?
How risky is it? I think there are two examples that I want to call out, right? It's us who build these solutions. There have been instances in the US judiciary where, a lot of bias was introduced into the judicial statements because of fundamental data that came in, right? So we shouldn't go that path. And human in the loop is the right way to do it. But the way I look at it is I'm a big fan of Iron Man. The human plus man machine ecosystem that we call, right? AI will bring superpowers to people, and the decision making should always lie with us. I mean, when I say always, not necessarily all the time, but you're trying to augment, like all of these panelists talked about, right? You're trying to augment it, but the decision making should lie with us. And I think we're evolving in a scenario where we're trying to make AI systems and agents so intelligent that, of course, decision making is an important part of it, but guardrails in place, right? the risk is very, very high if we let AI systems take over. And in critical systems like healthcare, judiciary, or government systems, right? Things can go very, very haywire if we let them to do. So I don't see a world where AI will be enabled for end-to-end decision making, and that onus lies with us, right? So that's my take. I don't see at least a near future. People are talking about AGI for a very long time, but I don't see that coming. The humans will continue to anchor the decision making, and we will build responsible AI systems and ethical AI systems, which will make the future a much better place for everybody, right?
So decision making should rest in our hands for coming future. So let me give you an interesting example from my family. So all the important decisions are taken by me, like खाने में क्या बनेगा, कौन सी मूवी देखनी है, and all the petty decisions, secondary decisions are taken by my wife. जैसे कि घर कहाँ लेना है, बच्चे के एडमिशन कहाँ करवानी है, and like this. So let me ask the next question to Mithil. You coach founders and creators about the content creation, and you believe every founder must create content. So is content creation itself is a form of decisive action, and it is the one decision most founders are still avoiding?
The answer is yes. When it comes to me working with founders, CEOs, and many other leaders, one thing that I commonly found is that all these founders, including all of us who are sitting here, is that we have a lot of insights, we have a lot of experiences, and we have a lot of failure. But very few are able to be vulnerable and are able to showcase that entire journey to the world. Most of them is like, that there's a dialogue from Three Idiot, hota sabke paas hai, but dikhata koi nahi, right? Similarly, when it comes to content creation, right now, like, if I have to speak to all the people sitting here, if you can connect with us as well as to one of the previous keynote done by Pradeep, he very clearly said LinkedIn and personal brand. So if you are able to connect this event, today's event and tomorrow's event, and if you can amalgate the entire thing and create like a case study and add it into your own learnings, and maybe create one post on LinkedIn, maybe tonight or tomorrow, think of the perspective people will have for you. And that's similarly what happens when the founders become vulnerable and they start sharing the data, they start sharing the insights. I'll give you one more example. There was one founder who was solving the same customer problem for more than 100 customers, but he was not sharing the insights. And when, by my advice, he started doing that, he started attracting the right audience, the right clients, and his revenue went 4 times. So connecting Pradeep's keynote with this, what is the difference between a student who has a personal brand and a student who doesn't? It's the entire 2x and the 3x salary that you get, or the opportunities that you get. It looks very simple, yet it is very powerful. So how many of you are taking notes today? Hence the answer. Thank you.
So, okay. So last question I will be asking to Shamal. Shamal, AI promises smarter and faster decision making. But if women remain underrepresented at the decision making table, can that intelligence ever be truly inclusive? And are we just building faster systems that reflect the same old blind spots? So I think this is a very important question. Please, Shamal.
Yes, thanks, Swapnil. It look like it's a personal questions for me actually. अभी स्वप्निल ने खुद ही बताया है आंसर कि बड़ी बड़ी चीजें जो भी है, जो भी डिसीजन है, उनकी वाइफ लेती है. हम लोग भी देखते हैं, मे बी एवरीवन कैन रिलेट. It's not a gender problem actually, but every man can relate it because so many decisions. Like I am also a entrepreneur, and my husband always ask me, अकाउंट्स का सब देखा है क्या, चेक किया है क्या, सीए से बात हो गई है क्या, डील फाइनल हो गई है, सो नेक्स्ट क्या करना है, ये सारी चीज़ें आप देख लो. इवन दो मेरे ऑफिस में जो भी काम करते हैं, उनका सब जो भी वर्कलोड है, वर्क प्रोसेस है, वो सब मैं हैंडल कर देती हूँ. सो it means ये समझ में आता है कि woman can handle each and everything in a proper way because she think in a deep way actually. जो भी प्रॉब्लम होते हैं, जो भी सॉल्यूशंस होते हैं, उसका जो भी आंसर हम लोग को सोचना है या फिर डिसीजन मेकिंग थिंग जो होती है वो सबसे ज्यादा वुमेन्स के पास होती है, ऐसे मुझे लगता है. इट्स नॉट अबाउट फेयरनेस बिकॉज ये ऐसे जैसे कि वुमन, मैं खुद हूँ वुमन, तो मैं उसी के बारे में सोच रही हूँ या फिर आई एम टेकिंग अ फेयर डिसीजन एवरी टाइम. सो इट्स नॉट जस्ट, बेटर सोल्यूशन इज मोर इम्पोर्टेंट. सो जब भी डिसीजन मेकिंग हम लोग कोई भी पॉइंट हम लोग डिस्कस करते हैं तो मोस्टली घर में भी ऑफिस में भी वुमेन्स को पूछा जाता है बिकॉज शी कैन एक्सप्लेन इन अ डीप वे एंड शी कैन वो जो प्रोसेस जो भी होती है डिप्लॉय करने की. सो एआई ऑल्सो, जो भी एआई का भी हम लोग को कोई भी डिसीजन लेना है तो एआई डिप्लॉय करने के समय मुझे लगता है कि वुमेन्स वो टेबल पे होनी चाहिए टू टेक द फाइनल डिसीजन. बिकॉज अभी भी हम लोग ब्लाइंड स्पॉट में खेल रहे हैं. व्हाई इन द नेक्स्ट वर्जन? सो इफ यू वांट टू अपग्रेड योर एआई, so you can deploy with the help of women. So maybe this is the right answer for you. Thank you.
That was very nice and important aspect made by Shamal. And I think this entire discussion cannot be completed without this last input that Shamal gave us, because we all are aspiring for more inclusive and sustainable and robust future. So let's open this floor for questions. So if anyone has questions from the audience, from the students. So we are running short of time. So we can have 1 or 2 questions. Yes, please. So anyone, please, can you pass on the mic to audience? So you can direct your question directly to anyone you want to ask.
Good afternoon, panel members. My question is that as majority of business are using AI to generate revenue, and if any business fails to do so, means using AI to generate the revenue, so is there any risk for them in terms of generating revenue?
So, this is a question directed to anyone specific, or anyone can
No,
give
sir,
that?
for anyone.
So,
Can you just repeat it?
can you repeat your question?
Sir, as our topic for today is majority of the organizations are using AI to generate revenue, means to multiply their revenue by using AI. And if any organization fails to do so, so is there any risk in terms of generating revenue for them?
So see, there are abundant opportunities to generate revenues with AI, without AI, right? You fail to generate, that is, it's not a risk, I would say, but you are restricting your own growth opportunities over there. So AI is always there to multiply. I mean, you want to leverage it the way the previous session was happening, and he was asking you that, how are you doing assignments? And you say within 10 minutes, I can do the assignment, right? That's an additional advantage that you have. If you become too dependent on that and do not use the way Karthi was also saying, the human in the loop kind of approach, that you have to take the decision, the data is lying in front of you, you're not taking the decision, you're in loss. But it is not at the risk of losing your organization, it is at the risk of growth, I would say.
Yes, thank you.
Karthik.
I'll tie this to a little more philosophy of how organizations survive, right? If you look at the Fortune 100 companies, try finding the companies that have survived for more than 100 years. What I'm trying to get to is organizations survive with one fundamental change, which is them changing, right? And AI is the current technology which people need to adapt, and learn with it and grow with it. Now, if you leave it, the loser is going to be the organization for not changing, and soon you'll see organizations dying, right? That's the biggest risk. It's not about, forget the revenue. Revenue, you'll reduce, increase, do that in a year or two. But if a company goes down into the spiral of not changing, and there's no coming back. So you will shut shop. Forget revenue increase or decrease, right? So change is the only thing that organizations need to adopt to, And AI is the biggest change that is driving not just revenue, but entire organizational disruption in terms of digital transformation, right? So that's how I look at it.
And business is all about experimenting. So if you even fail in some avenues, just move on and try something new project. So it is always an option. Yes, thank you so much. I will briefly map whatever we have covered till now. So we had a reality check about, is AI a revenue multiplier? And yes, it is, but with some cautions, with some discipline. We also discuss about data and its challenges. So we need to have some data discipline and organizational culture within our organization, with respecting the privacy of our clients and customers. And finally, we talked about decision making. So we have to use AI as our assistant, and with companionship of AI, we can scale our organizations. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, the panel members.
Thanks, Swapnil and all the panelists. Guys, my request to the audience, yes, it's a post-lunch. Little surprised, not even a single hand gone up, that whether you are making a notes or not. And I could see that sensible question coming from a very humble person. There's so many brilliant guys sitting here, and not one hand raised saying that you guys are not making a note. Are you not making reels? Are you not making Insta? Are you not making LinkedIn posts? You do. But guys, be with us, be with the audience. Can we? We have just 2 more sessions to go. I think we will not have this opportunity again, guys. Can we give a big round of applause to the panelists once again? Thank you. Thank you, guys. Let me take the opportunity to invite Sakshi ma'am and Jyoti ma'am. Can you come down to the stage to felicitate our beloved panelists, starting from the moderator, Swapnil sir. Ma'am, you can also go.